Foxworth theory. I'm Eugenia Foxworth with our guest, music industry attorney, Kendall Minter, author of the book, Understanding and Negotiating 360, Auxiliary Rights Deals, an artist's guide to negotiating 360 record deals. I have another question. You are a board member of the Living Legends Foundation, an organization focused on helping artists of yesteryear, especially from the Black and Brown communities, who had the hit records but were cheated out of their royalties and residuals, with many being left destitute. Tell us about your work with the foundation and what they are doing to help or assist these artists, and even those in other areas, such as music management and media.
So thank you for the question. And what I like to do is to spread the response, because not only am I proudly a member of the board of directors, but I'm also general counsel of the Living Legends Foundation. But I'm also one of the founding directors and continue to serve as chairman emeritus of the Rhythm and Blues Foundation. And both organizations have been around for decades. Both have similar, but not identical, but similar missions. And the overarching mission for both is to be able to not only recognize through award ceremonies and honors and other kinds of support the accomplishments of artists in the music industry, specifically for the Rhythm and Blues Foundation, it's legacy artists. So it's those artists who had recordings out from the 40s all the way up through 2000, early 2000, 1940s through early 2000. It's a little broader for the Living Legends Foundation because we support financially not only recording artists, but music industry executives and radio executives. And when I say support for both organizations, we're fortunate to be able, through grants and donations, to be able to provide what I call emergency financial assistance to those that are financially strapped and falling on hard times, that have medical emergencies, housing emergencies, sometimes, unfortunately, funerals and funeral expenses. That's the focus of all two of the organizations, so that if you are eligible, you'll submit a request for assistance. The committee will then review that request, and if it meets the guidelines, the organization will then provide some monetary assistance up to certain limits to be able to alleviate that financial distress. Same as Music Cares does from the Recording Academy and a number of other organizations with their financial assistance platforms. Both organizations have historically had annual galas or events where different beneficiaries have been recognized and honored. And the Living Legends Foundation continues to have a robust scholarship program, so that with a number of the HBCUs, we are happy to be able to help financially support some of the students through financial scholarships that are awarded to them. Then we also have, with the Living Legends Foundation, during this past year, over the pandemic period, a podcast that was in multiple segments and episodes, which addressed various issues all throughout and of interest to and germane to the music and the entertainment space. And I'm happy to serve and continue to serve on both organizations.
You are an amazing man. Given the things that are going on now, you probably don't sleep that often. But when was the Living Legends Foundation formed? And who were the founders? And what were their initial goals?
So that's good. The Living Legends Foundation is over 30 years old. It stands on the heels of individuals like Jerry Bolding, rest in peace, who was one of the, what I call our community, our radio pioneers. And we used to call him Dr. Bolding, but Jerry Bolding, Ray Harris, who was the head of RCA's urban division for many, many years, and he shepherded the careers of many executives and supported many artists throughout his tenure. Barbara Lewis, and a number of others who basically have paved the way for our current generation of leadership, which is Pat Shields and Varnell Johnson and David Linton and a number of others, so that we can continue our mission.
You know, I'm so happy to hear this because I read so much about the musicians and the artists that are now almost destitute. So it's good to know that there are those that are there helping. But I was not aware. There must be several organizations now that have gotten together besides yours. I'm assuming. Now,
Yeah.
can you,
For
yes?
example, we've got the Living Legends Foundation and that mission. The Rhythm and Blues Foundation that I had mentioned earlier gives financial assistance to legacy pioneer artists who are falling on hard times. The Recording Academy, known as NARIS, has an organization under their umbrella called Music Cares, and they also provide emergency financial assistance to musicians and folks in the music business, more so on the creative side than the executive side. And then there are a number of other organizations that are involved with either jazz or blues specifically that have similar, what I call financial assistance programs to help those that are having some financial distress or difficulty, hardships, or emergencies.
And without embarrassing anyone, is there any artists who were assisted by the foundation?
Yes, by both the R&B Foundation as well as the Living Legends Foundation. And what I would do would be to encourage your viewers and listeners to go to each organization's website, and you will see a few testimonials from those folks who have benefited from the grants that the organizations have given them. So they'll be able to read in substance exactly how the beneficiaries and the recipients felt about receiving that assistance.
Thank you for that. And the Living Legends Foundation also honors those who made great contributions to the music industry. Who were some of the honorees and what were their contributions?
Ooh, so that's a long list. I mean,
Okay.
but I would say we have honored everybody from radio announcers to people that I will just think about immediately because they stand out. One was Ruben Rodriguez, who we honored a number of years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago. And I mentioned Ruben because he just passed 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And Ruben was a true radio music industry guy. And he was just such a huge personality that everybody loved, very well-spoken, very aggressive for his clients, pioneered radio music marketing campaigns for literally scores of platinum and gold R&B and other artists, had his own company, Pendulum Records. And then also what I call the godfather of the Black music industry that most people know, Clarence Avant, who is just about, I would say Clarence is in his early 80s right about now, or mid 80s right about now. He actually just received a Lifetime Achievement Award under the Ahmet Ertegun Award at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just 2 weeks ago. So those are kind of bookends of old school, recent, new school. Yes. And they're really, because I don't want to just say one person and just leave everybody else out, because they're all equally deserving of mention. But I'll use those as two bookends of two examples of the types of individuals that the foundation has honored.
Thank you. Now, How can our listeners and viewers find out more about the Living Legends Foundation? I know they can go on the internet, but any specific sites?
Yes, actually, the Living Legends Foundation has our own website. So I would encourage them to go there. I would also encourage them to go to rhythmandblues.org, the Rhythm and Blues Foundation website, to get information about that. You had mentioned in your earlier opening remarks our website that I kind of launched about 5 or 6 years ago called askmusiclawyer.com, which is just a general informational site about things that people in the industry should know, to keep them not only up to speed on deals that are being made, but just trends. And we have blogs and articles and all kinds of other useful information. And then if folks are interested in acquiring a copy of my book, just go right to the good old fashioned Amazon.com, type in my name, and the book will come up and you can order it, and Amazon will do what they do, which is deliver same day or next day. But all of those would be opportunities for folks just to spend a few minutes across the board or online and just be well-informed, educated, and empowered, which is part of the entire opportunity and the mission that we seek to fulfill.
Thank you again. Can you tell us what other organizations you are a member of for the recording industry?
Sure. I also have the pleasure of being a member of the board of directors of Georgia Music Partners. Georgia Music Partners is a local organization in the state of Georgia, which acts as a lobbying group to lobby the folks in the state capitol to not only introduce, but also pass and enhance legislation that benefits the entire music community, whether you're creative or whether you're a studio owner or a live venue owner. We're looking to just make sure that there's legislation in place that supports those communities financially, politically, business-wise, to keep them as sustainable opportunities for careers. I serve on the board of directors of the DeKalb Entertainment Commission, which is a local county commission under the DeKalb government, which is, DeKalb is just east of downtown Atlanta, and it's the next most populous county. And the Entertainment Commission is responsible for creating and bringing new opportunities for the entertainment industry into the state of Georgia, particularly into the county of DeKalb. And it's apropos because for those folks who watch a lot of television or streaming on the various platforms, when you see that little peach logo, that means that the television show or the movie was produced or shot in part in the state of Georgia, many of which is now either in DeKalb County or in Atlanta itself, in Fulton County. And the list is long and endless, even parts of the Black Panther. Down the street from me right now, today and tomorrow and yesterday, they're shooting episodes of the Wonder Years. So there's a lot of film and television production all throughout the entire metropolitan Atlanta area. And the DeKalb Entertainment Commission is responsible for bringing that kind of business into the county together with the music industry.
Wow. That is something. And, you know, I was wondering a while ago how things were and why so many entertainers were moving to Atlanta. It's like been a movement that all, including artists, I mean, every aspect of art. Now, there are colleges and universities that have studies devoted to the recording industry, such as the Clive Davis School at NYU, named after the famous record label executive and alumnus of the school. How beneficial are these courses to students who are majoring in that area?
Very beneficial. Kennesaw State University has a program here that's been founded and supported financially by one of my colleagues, Joel Katz. I teach at Georgia State University, which is one of the largest public institutions in the state. And I teach copyright and music publishing, both in the undergrad School of Music and also in the College of Law. There's SAE, which is great if you're looking to be an engineer or a technical person in the music industry, in the studio, behind the keyboards, behind the control boards. And they have all programs that are geared towards either degrees or just hands-on knowledge or certificates in some facet of the entertainment business. And now there are also organizations that are training and teaching folks that are interested in getting into the motion picture and television industry, behind the scenes, behind the cameras, not the cast, but the crew, technical, otherwise, because there's such a proliferation of film and television business in the state of Georgia. What the studios have been doing over the past few years is bringing people in from California who do have the skill set to do the productions here, and then they go back home when the production's over. Now we're keeping them here, not only for post-production with all of the studios that are overbooked right now, together with the crew that will be in the position to be able to supply what's needed behind the cameras in order to be able to get these productions done.
Well, it's good. It's good to keep it at home and be supportive of the community and giving jobs
Yes.
to people.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it's all about, jobs. You know,
Yes.
to have someone come from another place isn't really helping. It'll help for a week, 2, or a few months in the hotels and that, but to have it there, it's great. Do you teach within the university system? Really? Like, you know, some people say, well, I'm a professor at so-and-so, but I only teach like one class. I'm listening to you and I still don't know when you sleep.
So the answer is yes and yes. I teach one class, but I do teach one course, which is the same course that I've done for over a decade now at Georgia State, and it's once a week. So as you know, a student in the School of Music, those folks that are studying on the business side as opposed to how to play an instrument, they have an opportunity to take my class and learn about copyright and music publishing. And the same thing in the law school, same course, basically. I teach one in the spring, one in the fall semester, and it's one evening a week for a few hours, and it's fully accredited and for the full grade points.
So do you see more young people who've studied the business of music entering the recording industry?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I'm proud to say that some of my former students at Georgia State are now clients of mine who have left college, graduated, gone into business, set up their own companies, doing deals. And they call me back and say, hey, professor, can you do this deal for us? And I'm like, of course. So yeah, it's very rewarding to see that cycle.
I would assume that it would. I like that. I like that. I believe everybody has to give back, no matter which end they're on.
Yeah.
So at this moment, we're going to take a short break and we'll be back with guest Kendall Minter in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Eugenia Foxworth. Thank you for watching the Foxworth Theory podcast on my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy what you see and hear. If so, make sure you hit the like button and follow the channel by clicking onto the subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll get to see this week's video podcast before the audio is streamed elsewhere. So again, like and subscribe to the Foxworth Theory channel. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Foxworth Theory. I'm Eugenia Foxworth with our guest, music industry attorney, Kendall Minter, author of the book, Understanding and Negotiating 360 Ancillary Rights Deals, an artist's guide to negotiating 360 record deals. Can you please tell me, what would you want your legacy to be, Kendall?
That's a good question. I believe very much in information and empowerment. So, I've continuously done things that I can within the scope of expertise and time that I have to try to give back. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the member of a number of boards. All of them are volunteer, none of them are salaried boards. And they're very different, except for the Rhythm and Blues Foundation and Living Legends Foundation, which have somewhat overlapping but not identical missions. But the others are all scattered throughout the entertainment diaspora. And the idea is to be able to pay it forward and give back at the same time, so that our next generation and multiple generations after that benefit from the seeds that we sow. And I think it's incumbent on all of us, not just to look out for me, myself, and I, and how much money can I make and how much bling can I spend, but what are you doing that empowers and supports and benefits your community as a whole? And that's what I'd like my legacy to reflect.
And I know it will, from everything you've told our audience today. Now, any advice you offer to those who want to be recording artists or work in the industry?
Sure. Information these days is fortunately and very different from 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, just a mouse click away.
Okay.
So if this is a business, or any business, but this entertainment industry in specific, if this is a business which you really want to call a career, you have to eat it, breathe it, sleep it, commit to it, do whatever is necessary within reason and legal to be able to get into it, to be able to sustain it. And it's all evolving around and keyed into relationships. So the unit is keyed into relationships, our relationship with the universe, with nature, with God, our creator, our family, our friends. It's all interconnected. That's why on my website and also on my email, my tag is "We're all connected." So you have to be able to build those relationships, nurture those relationships, and then utilize those relationships to move from step to step in your career as you progress in the industry that you want to call a career. So it's very different because some people call it 360, which everybody understands because it's a wraparound.
Mm-hmm.
Some call it, and in contract parlance, you may see ancillary rights, which is why I also put that phrase in my book title. But it's also called passive income right. And the reason it has that word passive is because the record company is not trying to get involved in managing or booking the talent. Their participation is 100% passive. They have to do nothing extra other than what they're already doing in recording and putting out music in order to be entitled to get this percentage based on the contract clause. And it's very different because with record companies these days, they're usually large organizations, unless it's a mom and pop independent. You have scores, if not hundreds of thousands of employees. So it's a veritable machine that takes a lot to move, and then it has an impact in the marketplace because of their clout and their resources. So they don't try to get involved in the artist management field, which is a very different environment, very different kind of business, and very different industry than it was back in the 50s and 60s. So we've evolved far and away from that. Now, you may still see that kind of a dual relationship only when you have an artist signed to what I call an owner-operated independent record company. And they also want to control everything with the artist's career, so they'll manage them as well. But that's only in those kinds of situations where you'll see the dual role. And then it's up to the artist attorneys that are negotiating their deal to make sure there's no what we call double dipping, which means that if the artist is going to be signed to an independent label and managed by the person who owns that independent label, then there won't be any management commissions that the manager will take on the money that their record company is giving the artist, because then they're wearing both pockets in the pants, and they're taking from one pocket, taking from another pocket, and just double dipping the artist. So that double dipping is excluded in any well-negotiated contract.
Okay, so what are the advantages and the pitfalls of the 360? I mean, you've given us a lot of the pitfalls.
Well,
What are the advantages?
again, it depends on which perspective you're looking at.
I know.
From the label, the advantage is they now have more revenue
Yes.
to put to their operations, and hopefully, in a trickle-down manner, be able to even more fully support the marketing and promotion for the particular artist that they are now receiving revenue from the 360 stream. From the artist standpoint, there really isn't any defined, definitive, definite advantage which you can measure, unless the contract is set up so that the label has to do certain things in order to be entitled to that. And that's not usually the case.
Boy, this is really something. I do not want to be an attorney, so you can keep your job. But
it's a lot of fun, and it has its ups and downs like most other professions. But fortunately, which is what keeps me motivated and focused, is the ups are more numerous than the downs.
Yes. So can a recording artist really benefit from such an agreement? And if so, how? Depending on.
Well, it's hard, because I would say in terms of measurable benefits, it's hard to measure the benefits, because the payment to the record company or the distributor of that percentage is not tied to any additional level of services to be received. And that's why it's called passive. And to the extent that you're an established artist or a successful artist that's in high demand, then you can have more leverage, which is what it comes down to, and either not have that clause at all in your recording agreement, or you've negotiated to a certain extent that its financial impact will be very significantly minimalized. But that's on an artist by artist basis.
So you answered my next question. So I was asking you, what leverage can an artist bring to the table? But you answered it. I mean,
Yeah.
right now, being an artist, now I understand what happened with Prince and a few others before technology.
Yeah, it's about leverage, same as in professional sports. And you go from a 6-figure contract to an 8 or 9-figure contract just based on the leverage that you have from your performance on the court or on the field.
And to me, this has been wonderful information, but there's more that I'm sure people would like to know. There are people that probably need your services, and we know where to get your book, but how can people reach you?
So the best way, because I'm on it pretty much all day on a couple of different screens, is email me. And I have a couple of email addresses, but I'll share with your audience the easiest to remember, which is just my initials. It's CamLaw, which is KAM like in mentor, law, LAW, @AOL.com. And yes, I said AOL.com. That's a real old school, not Gmail, but AOL.com. So it's CamLaw@AOL.com. And I'd be happy to connect with you online and respond and take it from there.
Well, I am so pleased and honored that you have taken some time out of your day to be on the show and to offer so much information that would cost, how much do your attorneys charge an hour? $500 an hour, $350 an hour?
It could be anywhere from $400 to $600 an hour, depending on who you're talking to.
I know, but I will say you have given back, and you've given back to a lot of people, even those who were not on the show, I'm sure friends are going to sell. So thank you so much.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everyone for joining us today on the Foxworth Theory.
Thank you for joining us on the Foxworth Theory. Be sure to tune in on Tuesday at 9 p.m. on the Foxworth Theory Network.